Hello and welcome to New Wave Global. I'm Marvi Sirmed and you are watching Unraveled. Our focus today is the state elections in India and how the voting trends may impact national politics, especially the government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. After the incredible results of the assembly elections in Haryana and India administered Jammu and Kashmir over 2 weeks ago, the Election Commission of India has announced the date for the Maharashtra assembly polls, and the elections in Maharashtra will now be held in a single phase on November 20, and the results will be announced on November 23. In Haryana, the voters 2 weeks ago defied all the political punditry and exit poll projections. Contrary to the forecast by journalists, sophologists, the political commentators, the Indian National Congress in Haryana could not win a majority, and BJP, on the other hand, bagged victory, though with a hair-thin margin on many seats. In Jammu and Kashmir, BJP could not win as expected by many, but surprisingly, even Congress could not get through with any flying colors. In the Kashmir Valley, its victory remained confined to a single digit. From Jammu, it could bring only one seat. Umar Abdullah, who was defeated by the incarcerated lone leader, Engineer Rashid, in the recent Lok Sabha elections, led his party to win massively this time and make the government in union territory. Now, how is this going to impact the upcoming elections in Maharashtra and Jharkhand, and how may the politics of BJP change in the center? Are the questions I'm going to pose to our distinguished guest today, Shivam Vij. Shivam is a writer, a columnist, and an astute political commentator. Welcome, Shivam.
Thank you, Marvi.
So, Shivam, in Haryana, as I said, BJP's narrow victory defied exit poll projections, while Congress failed to secure a majority. Are voters, what do you think? Are voters becoming more unpredictable, or have political commentators missed a key shift?
Well, in Haryana, the Congress party was only 1 percentage point behind BJP. The difference in the seats was much more, but in terms of vote share, they are almost evenly matched. So that makes it very difficult. A bit like the US elections, it's so close that to predict whether Biden will, Kamala Harris will win or Trump will win right now, it could be anybody's case. So when political competition is such, when it's so close, then yes, mistakes can happen. 1% is within the margin of error. So I think while everybody loves to see the media and pollsters get it wrong, I think maybe we can cut them some slack and say, all right, there's some things that you can't read on the ground. In the Lok Sabha elections also, there was a surprise. Sometimes voters are silent. Sometimes they don't want to speak up. Sometimes they're afraid to speak up. Some communities which are not dominant communities, especially like to keep their cards close to their chest, right? Sometimes hard to read them. So I think voters, and there's not, historically 2004, if you remember, Vajpayee, Lok Sabha, he was expected to win, but he lost. So Indian voters have the capacity to surprise. And as an Indian political commentator and as an observer, as a student of Indian politics, I love it when voters surprise us. I love it when I love it when I'm wrong, when my own assessment is wrong. I thought Congress was winning Haryana. I didn't travel there, but I thought they were winning. And I think that's a great strength of democracy. And even if they may not admit it, even the BJP thought they were going to lose the election in Haryana, right? So for voters to be able to surprise everyone is a great thing in my view.
Absolutely. But going to the nitty-gritty of what happened in Haryana. So we have heard a lot about the infighting within Congress. Plus, its over-reliance on just one community, that is Jat in Haryana. Both of these factors are reported to have impacted the voting trend in Haryana. Not just the Congress, but no one else seems to have seen it. What do you think about it? I mean, just everyone missed it.
Well, I think that the media especially made a mistake in not reaching out to enough of this community, a group of communities, which in India is called OBC, other backward classes. Okay. Now, these are basically your small peasants, small farmers, mostly, and artisans who have historically not had a very strong say in Indian politics, but that's been changing step by step over the last 30 years or so.
Mm,
And this group, OBCs, is what the BJP had consolidated. They're fragmented small communities that consolidated this group against the dominant charts, right? This
mm,
formula worked for them very well for two elections, 2014 and 19 in Haryana. But
mm,
by now, there was so much anti-incumbency, which basically is an Indian political term for unpopularity. People are just, fed about the same people being in power. They want change. They want things to be done differently. Um, so people thought that BJP is on its way out in Haryana. Significantly, in the Lok Sabha elections recently, Haryana has 10 seats in the Indian parliament.
mm,
BJP won all 10 last time. This time they lost five. They won only five. So people, it was reasonable to think that, yes, 4 months later in the assembly election, BJP will do badly.
mm,
But uh, the BJP's OBC consolidation, which people just presumed will fray, did not fray. In fact, the BJP did a good job of removing the unpopular upper caste chief minister in March, bringing him to the center, and replacing him with an OBC chief minister, Nayab Singh Saini. And
mm,
everyone just presumed that Saini has very little time. He's not charismatic. He's just seen as the rubber stamp of the previous guy. But actually, the results force us to conclude that the Saini
mm,
experiment worked. The chief minister giving an OBC CM worked. The Congress was promising a caste census in Haryana and nationally, and saying that after measuring the economic status of OBCs, we'll be able to do better for them in terms of delivery of economic goods and economic justice. But people said, hey, but for the moment, you're going to give us a Jat chief minister. We'd rather have an OBC chief minister. So caste politics is a big part of it. And
yeah,
the BJP, having done a little badly in the Lok Sabha, the BJP went down to the basics. The BJP didn't do a loud campaign. PM Modi did limited rallies there. They kept the old unpopular chief minister away, but they worked on the basics. They worked on consolidating their caste. Similarly, in amongst the Dalits, where we're
mm,
talking about infighting in the Congress. Now,
yeah,
the infighting was Kumari Selja, Dalit leader, and Huda Jat leader. Now,
yeah,
Dalits are 20% in Haryana. Fact of the
mm,
matter is, I've been seeing everybody talk about this infighting, but I'm not very impressed by that. I'll tell you why. Because Kumari Selja is not a very big mass leader. Plus, Dalits in Haryana are not a monolith. They are um, subcaste within them. There are regions. There are some which owe their allegiance to some Baba. It can get complicated. So the BJP worked on the complication. They had a micro strategy for all castes, for regions, so they went micro when the macro narrative which we were all looking at looked
mm,
like it favored Congress. And the Congress campaign narrative
mm,
focused on three issues. One was the Agniveer issue, which has to do with recruitment in the army, which has been curtailed. I'll not go into the complicated details. The second issue was farmers. And
mm,
the third issue was protesting wrestlers, women wrestlers. Haryana produces a lot of wrestlers. They've been Olympic medals. Women wrestlers have been protesting about a sexual harassment case involving a wrestling federation former chief who was also a BJP MP.
yeah.
So
Kisan Jawan,
Congress focused on
Samvidhan Pehlwan, that was yeah.
all of that, all of that. Someone recently pointed out to me that all of these issues basically target the Jat voter.
Hmm,
How did in all of these issues, for example, a poor Dalit woman has nothing in it for her,
hmm,
right? The wrestlers are from the Jat community. The farmers, the big farmers are the Jats who've been protesting. And
hmm,
the young men who go into the army are mostly from the Jat community, right?
hmm,
And the BJP with Saini focused on making sure that the non-Jat farmer, there was this narrative that it's not just Jats, all farmers in Haryana are unhappy with the BJP. The
hmm,
BJP made sure that that distinction between the Jat farmer and the OBC farmer is not lost, and they consolidated on the OBCs, did quiet meetings, gatherings, small meetings to keep their lot intact. And I think success has many fathers, failure is an orphan. But now that they have succeeded, we can say that they played the game beautifully.
That's right. Yeah, that seems so. And BJP's performance, coming to Jammu and Kashmir, it was notably weaker, but that was not as weak as it was, probably expected. If viewed with this massive turnout for polls, do you think this signals a slight shift in voter sentiment in the region, especially after the abrogation of Article 370, when everyone was expecting that people will just come out, against it, against BJP? That didn't happen. What do you think?
Well, I think Jammu and Kashmir has two regions, Kashmir Valley and Jammu.
Hmm.
Jammu has two regions within it. One is the Jammu Plains and one is the Jammu Hills. The Jammu Hills are regions like Poonch, Rajouri, etc.,
Hmm.
closer to the Pakistani border.
Hmm.
But the Jammu Plains the demography is more Hindu than Muslim, and the BJP does well there. The BJP has still done very well there. The BJP has done there as well as expected. They lost only maybe one or two seats. That's it.
Hmm.
Um, the Jammu Hills demography is more Muslim dominated, and the BJP hasn't really done well there. Some seats the BJP has won,
Hmm.
um, um, where the demography can be a bit 50-50.
Hmm.
Now let's talk about the Kashmir Valley. In the Kashmir Valley, the BJP is not even contesting very few seats. They had no chance there. In the Kashmir Valley, the contest was basically between the National Conference, led by Omar Abdullah,
Hmm.
and Congress was in alliance with them. And on the other side was the PDP, led by Mehbooba Mufti, former chief minister, but also a number of these small parties. Earlier when you were speaking, you mentioned Engineer Rashid. For example, people like Engineer Rashid and others, small
Hmm.
parties, independents, lots of them. Now,
Hmm.
there was a sentiment in the Kashmir Valley that these small parties and independents are basically BJP proxies trying to divide votes, right?
Hmm.
And make the NC lose.
Yeah.
So if the NC fall a bit short, and NC and Congress should fall a bit short of the majority, um, then, in the new legislature, the Lieutenant Governor has been given the power to nominate five lawmakers extra.
Hmm.
So by doing that, there might be a stalemate, which might lead to presence rule. It might lead to a BJP government, might lead to a BJP proxy government. These were the theories doing the rounds in the Kashmir Valley, and people were not happy about this.
Hmm.
So I think people have voted with their feet for the NC, gave the NC stupendous victory, more than what perhaps even the NC expected.
Hmm.
A historic victory. This is the historic moment for the National Conference, which is a historic party in Kashmir. It is the regional party of the valley. It is Sheikh Abdullah's party, and Omar
Hmm.
Abdullah is Sheikh Abdullah's grandson.
Hmm.
Um, you know, so in a sense, if there was any fear of any kind of manipulation in the
Hmm.
Kashmir Valley, that has not played out.
Hmm.
Um, Omar Abdullah has won a fair and square victory in a fair and square election.
Hmm.
He has become a chief minister. It's another matter that his powers have been curtailed a lot. Jammu and Kashmir is not a full state; it's a union territory, just like Delhi.
Hmm.
Um, but But in terms of the election, it's been a fair and square election. They've been almost, I haven't heard, I didn't hear a single boycott call. There was no violence. So once again, in a different way, I think it's a victory for democracy that the people in both Jammu and Kashmir felt that they needed to make their voice heard, right? And if, especially in the Kashmir Valley, the voice was against the BJP, they've been allowed to air that sentiment and uh, bear its fruits.
Yeah, but what was different this time? I mean, people of Kashmir have been facing this kind of turmoil and terrorism and all these gory events for a long time now. But every time we have seen them, one or the other group boycotting and massive calls for boycotting elections. What was this different this time that even those who do not accept democracy in Indian constitution, like Jamaat Islami, they were backing the candidates and no one, as you said, called for a boycott. What was different this time?
I think we value what we don't have.
Mm,
So for since the removal of Article 370 in 2019,
mm,
um, there hasn't been a democratically elected state government. The Jammu and Kashmir was run by the lieutenant governor appointed by Delhi. So
mm,
people felt that they needed their own representatives to
yeah.
sort of voice their concerns, to speak for them, to articulate their
Mm,
opinions and their views and their grievances, as it were, for the smallest of things, for matters of governance, right? My friends in Kashmir told me that we feel we are being run by bureaucrats and we're not happy about it, right?
mm,
So I think everybody uh, felt the need for a democratic government. Even in the Lok Sabha elections, people voted in large numbers, and in the Vidhan Sabha elections, even more, because
yeah.
conflict issues aside, the larger issues aside, people need a state government for day-to-day affairs. And I
Yeah.
think people came to value the need for a state government by not having it for so long.
Yeah, I was actually quite surprised to see that even Afzal Guru's brother was contesting elections. Did he win or lose?
I'm not sure. Honestly, I don't follow JNK that
Huh,
closely. I'm more a Hindi heartland guy. But the point is that everybody was trying to contest this elections because people knew that this is a very popular election. People want to come out and vote. It's
that's
it's
right.
it's like everybody wanted to buy the lottery ticket because they knew there's going to be a lottery here.
Yeah, but that's you pointed to another very important issue. Since 2019, there has not been a state government in Jammu and Kashmir. Now the government has been made. Now Umar Abdullah is the chief minister. Um, but the state government it's not a state, one, it's a union territory. So how far the incumbent government in Jammu and Kashmir would be, strong enough, independent enough to make these decisions, I'm not sure without a statehood. And do you see, and the BJP government, it does not seem to be in a hurry to grant this, return the statehood to Jammu and Kashmir. Do you foresee any tussle between the state government, the union territory government and union government, uh, for the powers? Because Umar Abdullah made many promises, election promises. And actually, I was hearing Farooq Abdullah Sahab after the election, after the results. And both of them made humongous promises which they do not have power to keep. What is going to happen now?
I think it's no doubt going to be difficult, not least because it's a very new experiment, right? It's the first time that Jammu and Kashmir has this union territory status and an assembly within it, and a powerful lieutenant governor. So a lot of new conventions are going to be established, and India has various union territories, and each one has its own peculiarities, right?
Mm,
So there is Pondicherry near Chennai, there's Delhi, the Chandigarh is the union territory. But I think that it is important to note that the BJP has promised statehood in Jammu and Kashmir. They're not saying that, no, you will not be a state. Question is when. I think that Omar Abdullah and the Congress party both are saying that they'll make statehood a big issue. They'll ask for it. So there'll be a contestation for power, no doubt. But I think this is a healthy contestation. I think that in the absence of a state government, this conversation was not even being had. And I think I'm glad that this conversation is now being had and it will be taken further, even if it takes a while. I think I hope that one day Jammu and Kashmir will have statehood back. Um, I'm personally, a big champion of statehood even for Delhi, right? In my view, even governance in Delhi suffers for lack of statehood. And this is not about BJP or Congress or Aam Aadmi Party, whoever is in power. I think um, Delhi should also have statehood. And I think that this, in general, the conversation on decentralization of power in India has gone back in time. And I think we need to switch the clock back and have this conversation, not just for JNK, but but at all kinds of levels. Even when you have a full state, local bodies do not have enough powers. Our cities' municipal governance suffers because they don't have enough powers. So I think the best way to have this conversation about JNK, Jammu and Kashmir statehood, would be to have it in the larger context of decentralization of power. To make a state a union territory is the opposite. It's a centralization of power, right?
Yeah. To tell you true, even I am a great proponent of the statehood of Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. people are asking for the statehood for a long
Yeah,
time. Uh,
yeah, I
so
read
it's
about that. Yes, yes,
um,
yes.
anyway. So returning to Indian politics, Prime Minister Modi has built his success on a strong national narrative, and the narrative of economic growth, the nationalism, the Hindutva, etc., etc. Do you believe the upcoming state elections in Maharashtra and Jharkhand now could force the BJP to recalibrate its strategy, and especially if the results do not go in their favor, and how the results in Jammu and Kashmir and Haryana might impact the politics there in Maharashtra's election?
So I think that firstly, as far as the BJP's nationalism and Hindutva and Hindu nationalism is concerned, you hear this all the time in US politics about Donald Trump, that he's charging up the base. He's charging up the base, right?
Mm,
So the BJP thinks that charging up the base is necessary. It's part of their formula. It's part of their checklist, as it were. It has to be done. Okay. And there's no way they will not do it, right? There will be statements which some of us will not be happy about, but they will do that to charge up the base. Having
mm,
said that, the Haryana election itself is a big booster to the base, to the BJP workers in Maharashtra, and there's another state going to the polls along with Maharashtra called Jharkhand in the east. Um, uh, Along with that, there are small bipoles in UP and Bihar, which can be significant in other ways. These were seats vacated by local lawmakers to contest a national election, and now they're having their own elections. One of them, for example, is Milkipur in Ayodhya, where the Ram temple was built, right? So, I mean, that seat, for example, is a prestige battle for the BJP. So, in all of these elections, the BJP's victory in Haryana is a big booster for the average BJP worker and cadre and supporter, because after the Lok Sabha, a lot of people just presumed that the BJP is on a downward trend. The BJP looked like they had lost their mojo, they were losing their mojo. What
mm,
Haryana has proved is that um, the journey for the Congress party to come back to power is not going to be a linear one. The challenges remain.
mm,
The strengths of the BJP are not going to disappear in a day, right?
mm,
And Rahul Gandhi is not going to become a popular mass leader with just one yatra.
mm,
It's going to take a lot.
mm.
Um, Also, I think that in Maharashtra, what? Sorry, there's a call.
You can take
Right.
the call. I'll cut. I'll edit this
No, no,
out.
no, no. I cut the call. I cut the call already. How do I? Okay. Hope you'll be able to edit this. Um, so, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, completely.
So I think that in Maharashtra, people are not noticing the importance of a scheme which helped them win Madhya Pradesh, the central state, in December 23. This scheme grants 1,500 rupees of cash transfer, no questions asked, to a lot of poor women.
Mm.
And 1,500 rupees for poor women a month can be a lot of money. It boosts their cash in hand. And this scheme helped the BJP win Madhya Pradesh, another election which the BJP was expected to lose, but they won in
Mm.
December 23.
Yeah.
And I think this copying that scheme in Maharashtra could spring a surprise, although Maharashtra, like Haryana, the BJP and the BJP alliance is widely expected to lose. Again, in Maharashtra, the BJP and the BJP alliance did badly in the Lok Sabha elections. The
Mm.
macro level narrative again is not with the BJP, but in terms of the micro strategies, in terms of learning from the Lok Sabha mistakes. We all make mistakes, but the BJP is very good at learning from their mistakes. They just might be able to pull off another Haryana.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think that BJP will keep expanding its footprint? It is already expanding its footprint quite aggressively. Now, if Maharashtra and Jharkhand both, it is successful in doing so, do you see any significant challenges to this expansion with the whatever weak or strong parties the alliance India alliance poses? Do you think is there enough and significant challenge to BJP from regional parties for overall India alliance, or even the internal dissent within the BJP? And maybe differences between, as were reported, between BJP and RSS. So I have just left it
I
open
think
for
I
you.
think I think I think Haryana has shown that the BJP has been working silently on their differences with the RSS. There are
Oh.
reports that the BJP worked coordinated well with the RSS in Haryana.
Mm.
As I said, when you make mistakes, you learn from them and then you correct them. And the BJP can be very good at learning from their own mistakes. But I think that India has elections all the time. Every year we have two, three elections. It's like watching, it's like being a cricket fan. One tournament goes, another one comes, who'll win this series, who'll win that series. And sometimes a player who looks strong, has suffered an injury, not playing that well. Sometimes the player is, playing too much, he's exhausted and therefore not playing well. Sometimes, over a period of time, Pakistan used to be an unbeatable team. Today, it's a really bad team. So, things change over time. Indian elections are a bit like being a sports fan, and which is why I love them so much. This is my cricket, as it were. I don't watch cricket, and after these elections this year, we have Delhi Assembly elections in February 2025, which are going to be very keenly contested because the BJP wants the Aam Aadmi Party out. The Aam Aadmi Party entire top leadership has spent a lot of time in jail on corruption charges. They're just out on bail. So Delhi is going to be a very hot contest. And later in the year, next year is Bihar in October, November.
Yes.
So we'll keep having elections, and I think that if there is one truth, the Lok Sabha elections 2024 showed us that there's one ultimate truth of Indian elections, that is anti-incumbency, right?
Mm.
Despite Mr. Modi's popularity, the BJP uh, um, came down to not having a majority and having to run a coalition government, even if a comfortable one, right? And unexpectedly so, right? So I think anti-incumbency, as time passes, anti-incumbency will keep catching up with BJP. However, as Haryana shows, it will need a very smart opposition to exploit the anti-incumbency as well, because the BJP gets smart. You have anti-incumbency going against you, but then you have good caste management, you have party organization. So the India Alliance and the Congress Party, the lesson for them is that Lady Luck will not shine on them just as a matter of history. They've been waiting for the masses of India to just get bored of BJP and just one fine day get up and say, "Oh, but where are the jobs they promised?" And start voting for Congress again. It won't be that automatic. But
Hmm.
in terms of state elections, in terms of the BJP's expanding footprint or the challenges, I think we'll continue to see ups and downs.
Hmm.
And I think the recent elections, whether it's Lok Sabha, whether it's Haryana, whether it's Jammu and Kashmir, show us that the idea that we had some years ago that the BJP is going to have an unchallengeable one-party rule, right? For all the problems, Indian democracy is able to hold against that idea that
Hmm.
we are not getting one-party rule.
Hmm.
They've won Haryana, but just about, right?
Hmm.
Um, so Maharashtra, as of today, is an open question. So I
Hmm.
think that um, this is quite a saving grace in a world where democracy everywhere is under threat. That democracy still survives and thrives.
Hmm. That's right. But you see, it's very interesting how BJP um, defied the incumbency factor in Haryana. It was a very smart strategy.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
changing Khattar Saab with Saini Saab just 6 months before the elections. Was the move, I think, that moved the voters' attention away from incumbency. Do you think the incumbency factor at the national level, BJP would learn from this success and do something like that for the next Lok Sabha elections?
um, I think that if you just compare with Haryana, the chief minister there, Manohar Lal Khattar, was extremely unpopular.
Hmm.
Okay, and he said to be personally close to the prime minister, and yet he was removed. A lot of people said he should be removed long ago. It was that unpopular. Mr. Modi is still the best bet for the BJP. As simple as that. He is far from being unpopular. He's still his ratings and just talk to an ordinary person on the street in India and ask about Modi. They may not be jumping with joy like they were in 2014, but
Hmm.
the worst they will say is he's all right, right?
Hmm.
So the question about whether the BJP can replace Mr. Modi arises only if there's another leader who can match up to his popularity, right?
Hmm.
A lot of people speculate about Yogi Adityanath,
Hmm.
but he is not half as popular as Modi. Okay,
Yeah.
Yogi Adityanath appeals only to the Hindutva base, whereas Mr. Modi is able to cross that barrier and appeal to the swing voter, who's often that OBC I was earlier talking about, is often that small peasant, the small artisan, the small farmer with 1 acre land, whose son is working in Delhi as a ATM security guard. That kind of aspirational young Indian who's not absolutely poor but wants to climb up the ladder. That kind
Hmm.
of person still, I would say, has faith in Mr. Modi.
Yeah, but if Mr. Modi becomes liability, in that case, for example, in Haryana also, I was looking at the, I watched the campaign by different parties, BJP and Congress. I noticed that it was the focus on Mr. Modi was very little. The
Yes, I think that they were deliberately trying to protect him because they thought that they're going to lose Haryana.
Hmm.
So they didn't want headlines saying, "Oh, BJP lost Haryana despite Modi campaigning so much." And look, after the Lok Sabha surprise, Mr. Modi could not win Haryana, and therefore, okay, maybe his popularity is eroding. So they were trying to protect him. I think if they had known they're going to win Haryana, he would have campaigned a lot.
Hmm.
I mean, that would be my reading.
Hmm.
But I think but that does not mean that Mr. Modi is not popular. Let's say that his popularity is no longer enough for the BJP to sweep elections. You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
they have to address various issues. What happens is, like, let's go back to the Lok Sabha. Why did the decline happen in Lok Sabha in terms of seats? It's not that people were unhappy with Modi. I traveled, I didn't hear anyone complain about Modi.
Yeah, I
People
hear
are
that.
happy because the BJP did not change the local MP candidate, for example, in many places. Okay, which they also complained was great arrogance, that we can give an unpopular guy a ticket and you make him your member of parliament because, there's Mr. Modi anyway, right? So there were local caste issues, there were economic issues, there are these pain points which the BJP had not addressed in its overconfidence. After the Lok Sabha, the BJP realized the mistake that people make by being overconfident, and they addressed that in Haryana. I think that if Mr. Modi's popularity erodes, as we saw briefly after Lok Sabha, the RSS will kind of start having a greater say in the BJP. The BJP, unlike any other party, has this great advantage of this mothership of the RSS, and the two might keep fighting like any family, but the RSS then just takes over and does things its own way. But
Hmm.
but I think as of today, I don't see the possibility of Mr. Modi suddenly becoming a liability. Even if that were to happen, it would be a slow process. I think that the BJP might start doing badly for reasons other than Mr. Modi.
Hmm.
The anti-incumbency. Now, like, let's say you won Haryana for a third time. So in
Hmm.
Haryana, you have continuing double anti-incumbency.
Hmm.
Let's say Mr. Saini does not perform,
Hmm.
right? So for the voter, it's the BJP that is not performing, and the Modi is great, but sometimes we hear this but.
Hmm.
So so it can be a bit complicated. It's not every decline in BJP's votes maybe because of Mr. Modi. It can be for other factors as well.
Yeah. But do you foresee any changes in Mr. Modi's style of governance at the national level? Or could we see a shift in his focus away from polarizing issues towards more governance-driven and economic-driven narratives?
I think that firstly, I think that this third Modi government is yet to find its feet, as it were. We I think we are now likely, after Maharashtra elections, likely to see Mr. Modi come out with some new narrative. It's time. But I think the big focus has to be now the economy and making the economic goods trickle down to the masses. Now, you see, people are unemployed or underemployed. They're not seeing a jump in their wages. At the same time, there is inflation. So something, you have to do something. And Mr. Modi, in his second term, tried to win the election by not giving any freebies. He openly spoke against freebies and
Mm,
for good fiscal management. In fact, examples were given publicly by the BJP about what happens when you don't do good fiscal management, including Pakistan and Sri Lanka.
mm,
Now, the problem is that the election results with 240 seats and the growing pressure of freebies from opposition parties, wherever Congress is in power, they're giving freebies. So if you cannot give jobs, you have to give freebies. This Agniveer issue, for example, if you have full recruitment in the army and you're going to earn pensions, right? It reduces how much money the government has to spend on infrastructure and job creating activities and so on. So I think while India is a booming economy, making the economic progress trickle down to the masses is what it's all about. Mr. Modi may remain very popular, but if the people feel that in terms of economy, the BJP government is not doing a very good job, right? Mr. Vajpayee was very popular in 2004 when he lost, which is why nobody could see him losing, right?
mm.
So I think the big challenge, the big threat for Mr. Modi, and therefore the big opportunity is this economic management, which is toughest thing for any government.
That's right. Economics is everything in today's world, and especially in South Asia. With that, we'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Shivam, for being with us. It's a great pleasure having discussed these issues with you, and we hope that you will keep returning with us here. Thank you very much, viewers, for
Thank you, Marvi.
Thank you. Thank you, viewers, for watching. And do not forget to subscribe because we bring these analyses to you because you support us. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Until next time. Bye.